name's Evan Roth. I'm one half of the Graffiti Research Lab. So we got invited here to come do a couple projects, one of which is the laser tag project here. So it's a system that has a laser pointer as an input to a projection system. But basically, from a user standpoint, you just get handed this laser, there's a building in front of you, and you can write kind of whatever you want. We view it sort of as like a free speech machine. The software was written by a friend of mine named Theo Watson. It's kind of like building off of what motion tracking software is. Like, to simplify it, it's like a motion tracking software. So there's a camera involved, and the camera is looking for movement, and then it's like, is it moving? Yes. Is it a little small dot? Yes. Is it green? Okay, I think it's the laser. So let's project some light behind it. It's basically how it works. I mean, we've done this to be honest, it's like outside the US mostly, because mostly when we do it a lot in the US for ourselves, but for big events like this that require like funding and stuff, like the US is like really bad about funding the arts. So we find ourselves over here in Europe quite a bit, but we've done it in China. Man, where else have we done it? We've done it in Mexico City. We're gonna go to Australia in a few weeks. But one thing we're doing now actually is like we're inviting other people to just start doing this. So a big part of what we do is we're trying to like be advocates for open source, kind of anti-copyright type mentality of sharing creative projects. And so we give away the source code for this, so if anybody wants to run it, they can. We like it when it doesn't fall into the hands of advertisers. So like, when we're happy, it's like when activist groups or artists are doing this, but it's free for anybody to download. And then, so we're trying to encourage people to just, one reason to come to like Dublin, for example, is if we do this here, maybe some of these people get inspired to do it themselves, and then after we leave, there can still be this kind of thing going on. And then, the idea is kind of to give individual people like ourselves, not like companies with lots of money who can afford to advertise in a city, like give these people a chance to like say something visually within the city,
My name is Deck. I do graph, and I got a phone call from the guys who are doing this, so they asked for a couple of graffiti artists to get involved and maybe just experiment with this laser technology or all this technology that they're getting up to. So we came down here and just fooled around with the laser gear and stuff on the wall. Brilliant, to be honest. I think they should do stuff like that more often, like kind of like delving into the science, how science, when it's applied to music or art and stuff, the effect it has. I think it's cool. Like, I don't like to get too heavy in it because it just would wreck my brain, and I just do art and graph because I love it. I don't do it for any other reason. I don't think there's a scientific meaning behind it, but every once in a while some freak comes out with something deadly like this, and then we all have fun.
The general strain to our work is that we try to make these projects that amplify voices for like marginalized communities, and by marginalized I really mean anybody who doesn't have the means, the funds to have their messages up in the cities where they live, So in this case it's laser tag. We've done another project with LEDs called LED Throwies. We've done audio projects, but they're all kind of around that theme of like empowerment for people, like we try to, this one's easy to share because it's a software project for the most part, but we have hardware projects also, so when we do that, we'll have how-to kits. So we'll do an example, like the Throwies, for example, we'll make that, we'll release it, and we'll tell people where they can buy all these parts for cheap, how to make them themselves, and then it can be this thing where we don't have to go to every city in the world anymore, like people, and that's happened with this project, and it's happened with LED Throwies, where like, it's happened in a lot of cities that we've never been to, and for the most part, it is kind of the arts and activist groups that are using it, and so that's what we're kind of pushing. We're hoping to get more and more of that happening. Yeah, we made them last night, and there was another workshop tonight. To be honest, that's like a project we're trying to phase out, just because we feel like environmentally it's like quite irresponsible. But when we make them now, like we try to tell people, if you're not familiar with the project, it's basically like an LED, a magnet, and a battery. And so you have this like piece of electronics that's a light, and you can embed it into the city. It can act as a single pixel. So if you make enough of them, what we're encouraging people to do is that if they're going to do this project, say something you mean, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to go through the effort of like putting this up in the city and sort of spending some money and spending some, I don't know, ecological footprint, like make it count, you know what I mean? So hopefully some people will say some interesting or provocative things. So we've got it mostly up on our website, graffitiresearchlab.com. We actually just finished making like a longer movie. If anyone's interested in hearing us blab our mouths more, if you do a Google search for Graffiti Research Lab and Torrent, you can download like our kind of feature-length movie.